I'm so invested in this story. Can you stop committing crimes, please? Like, there's definitely some things in this book, or in the manuscript part, that wouldn't have happened in Jane Austen's time. Excuse me. Did I just apologize to a table? That's hot. If you are participating. Why is that word so hard to say? My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with week 3 of the Owl's Magical Readathon. So it is 5 o'clock? Honestly, I don't even know. But I thought you guys should see my face at some point today, and that I should actually, like, legit start this vlog. So that's what we're doing. Today I've been mostly reading the missing manuscript of Jane Austen by Cerie James. I am currently on page 220, which is, like, according to Goodreads, 52% of the way through, so I've officially made it halfway. There are so many things about this manuscript that I love, and the more I read it, the more I, like, love how amazing Cerie James is at writing, because while her writing style is not exactly what Jane Austen's is, and there are some things that she does that Jane Austen doesn't, with that being said, the, like, entire air and I don't even know how to explain it. Like, everything about the manuscript screams Jane Austen. Like, she captures Jane Austen's essence and, like, the way that she writes and her, like, humor and satire and things like that that Jane Austen has in her actual stories, she captures in this manuscript perfectly. And because this manuscript is supposed to be written before, like, anything else was published, and probably before many other things were actually written, you see hints of other characters and these characters. There are things in almost every single one of her books that, like, Cerie James has, like, layered into this manuscript to make it feel like Jane Austen and make it feel like the prerequisite to what would be her actual work, which I think is fantastic. It's so good. I'm in love. So I am so incredibly invested in the story that, like, this is literally all I've been doing today. I even had coffee in my Jane Austen mug because I needed to feel the Jane Austenness. But I'm going to keep reading this, but I wanted to come on here and actually, like, start this vlog. But this is really the only one that I've been reading today, but I do have another one that I have started I do have another one that I have started and I'm in the middle of, so I thought I would mention that. And that is the third in the School for Good and Evil by Salman Shanani, The Last Ever After. I'm only 2 chapters in, so, like, barely anywhere. This hasn't changed from the end of last week's vlog, but I thought I'd mention it because it is one that I'm currently reading, and it's the audiobook that I want to pick up, but because I'm so invested in this book, it's hard for me to, like, want to read this one right now. It's just really good, you guys. So, this one, I think, it's going to take up all my brain power. I'm not going to want to do anything else except for read this. And this one fulfills 2 out of the 4 for the reading rush, because I am trying to participate in the reading rush. Don't think I'm going to actually finish it. Actually, this one could finish 3 if we take in the fact that, like, there's no house on this cover, but, like, this cover is one of those weird partial covers, so, like, this little bit of what's underneath it has the house on it. It doesn't count, but, like, we're gonna pretend it does because it'll make me feel better. So I would like to finish this one tomorrow. So I'm gonna go keep reading this one while Chris makes dinner, because I thought he was being nice because he told me to keep reading because I was very much enjoying it. But then he decided to tell me that I needed all the help I could get because he's winning in the amount of books that have been read so far this month. But I am going to go continue to read this a little bit. We do have plans to FaceTime or talk to my parents tonight and possibly play a game. We're going to try it out. We've been playing games via Skype with some of our other friends, so we're going to see if that'll work. So you might see them later, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep reading until there's food because I'm just so invested. Hello! So I have updates for you because I have finished 2 books. I completely failed at the reading rush, like 100%. I finished 2 books that technically would have fit all 4 prompts, I think, except for that one was cheating, and then I didn't do the other one because I'm an idiot. So I finished yesterday the Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen by Sarit James. This one I ended up giving 5 stars to because it was so good. I loved this one so much. This is definitely a new favorite. I will say when I first started this book, the things that I had predicted for the manuscript partially came true. Like the things that I thought were going to happen happened, except for not quite in the way that I thought they were going to happen. So I was partially right. Like there's definitely some things in this book, or in the manuscript part, that wouldn't have happened in Jane Austen's time. Excuse me. Did I just apologize to a table? And I've mentioned a few of them, but one of the biggest ones that I think for me was the stakes for our family in the manuscript are really much higher than Jane Austen would have ever put her stakes in, and that I think attributes to the fact that this is written in a modern day. For example, like some of the things in like Pride and Prejudice with Lydia running away, that would be like not as ridiculous today as it was back then, but a family almost going entirely in ruin is like something that people today can go, oh yeah, that's bad. I think a lot of the differences that she put in the manuscript that Jane Austen might not have done, I think is 100% to modernize it so that you still get the same feelings as you would with a Jane Austen novel, but like make it more relevant for people today, which I really appreciated. I loved it. I haven't been this invested in a book in such a long time, or at least I feel like I haven't, so this was great. It was great. Definitely probably going to be on like my favorite books of the year. I can just see that happening because it was so good. So that fulfilled 2 of the reading rush prompts, and if I wanted to cheat, it would fulfill a 3rd one with like a house on the cover. And then I picked up Paper Hearts, so I was supposed to read in the exact same room, and I didn't. I read it in 2 different rooms, so failed a little bit. But I still really enjoyed this one, so I don't want to say too much about what this is about, because I feel like the synopsis on the inside, and probably what's on Goodreads, spoils a lot of this book, because like the big event, or the big thing that happens on the dust jacket that they're talking about, it doesn't happen until around here. So you have all of this build up to whatever this event is, and I feel like it spoils it. But this basically follows 2 girls who I think are about 18. They are in their teens. They are significantly older girls than what they sound like, so it really throws me off, because in my head they're still like maybe 14, but by the end of this book one of the girls is 20, so like it's really bizarre. But it follows 2 girls who are in Auschwitz, and they basically don't have any family, so they become each other's family, and it's really sweet, their like relationship between the 2 of them, and it is written in verse, which I personally love, and that gave it this like beautiful poetic tone to the book without getting rid of like everything that you would expect from a book written during the Holocaust, because it's gritty. She doesn't hold back. It switches from the 2 points of views, so you see what's happening to these girls from their points of view, and so she doesn't hold back from the fact that like this is rough, but she does it in this beautiful poetic form. There is a glossary in the back, which I really appreciated, because there's a lot of terms in this book that have to do with like Jewish traditions, but it also is like German words and Polish words and things that refer to people in the camp as far as workers and what that means. And so that I appreciated, because at first I didn't really know that was there, and then once I realized it was there, that helps a lot, because there was just some things that like you could guess what it meant from surrounding text, but not entirely. I did like having the 2 points of views, but it's hard to tell. There's no voice that differentiates the 2 girls. You just have to like be paying attention. But one thing that I did appreciate is at the bottom here, it told you which girl's perspective you were in. So if you did kind of forget, you could look down there and be like, oh right, that's what I'm in. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I personally really did enjoy this one. So that's 2 more down. So this was for Ancient Runes, and this was for Herbology. So I technically only have 1 more class that is required for my reading, but I only have 4 more books left, and I'm just stoked. So because these were ones that I have been reading physically, I need to pick another physical book. So I think I'm going to go with Brightly Burning by Alexa Dawn, because out of everything that's left, this is the only one that I don't have access to an audiobook of. So I wanted to start this one as soon as possible, so that if it does take me a while, I can get through it. But basically this is a Jane Eyre retelling set in space, and like that's all I needed to know. But this cover is just gorgeous. But this is one that I'm doing for my divination, which was the random number generator. And I love me some retellings, so hoping to start this in the next couple of days. But that's the one I'm going to pick up next for my like physical book. And I am still reading The School for Good and Evil, but I have read a little bit more. I'm now on chapter 6, so about 75 pages in. Still not a whole lot, but like things are starting to happen. There's a lot of backstory with these girls that I feel like we're going to get from this book that we didn't get in the last ones, because we've already learned something about Agatha's mom that we didn't really know. I had my suspicions, but like we didn't know for certain until like the 3rd or 4th chapter. So I'm excited, but it's thick. And the audiobook is so long, but I need to actually like read that one next. But I think that's it for my updates. 2 more books down, so that is great. Today I need to edit because I have a video coming out in 2 days and I haven't even touched it yet, so I would like to get that one done so that I can actually sit down and read. But like, I kind of just want to watch BookTube. Excuse me, sir. That is where we're at right now as far as reading goes. So 2 more down. I feel very accomplished right now. With this double wave that I like decided to start doing. Hello. So I don't actually have any reading updates for you, but I do have book updates because your girl got some book mail. Most of this is things that I bought. But one thing is not. So I just am excited, and I thought it might be fun to unbox some of this stuff with you. Because why not? So I did a thing where I went to Book Outlet because I was looking for a very specific book to find cheap, and I did. And then they hit me with the whole like, if you spend this much, you get shipping for free if you're in the US or Canada. So obviously I had to do that. So I have like 9 books in this box that I got for like $35, which, let's be honest, is amazing considering if you got like new books, you might buy 3, like 2 or 3 at the most. But I'm going to open this fun little package first, because if it's what I think it is, I won a thing on the Instagram. That's so exciting. And it's like a new release that I've been really excited about. So, yee! Is what I thought it was. So, on the Instagram, I won To Haven to Hoax by Martha Waters. This is the ARC copy, which I'm okay with because look, it looks pretty similar to the finished copy from what I can tell. Ain't she a beaut? So this is a kind of like a rom-com, but set in like Victorian England, and like this is my brand right now. I'm obsessed with Jane Austen and all things Victorian England because of my reading the end of last week, beginning of this week. So like, this is where my brain is at. And oh, she is so cute. I am in love. So now we're going to go into my gigantic Book Outlet box. I've never actually bought anything from Book Outlet before. That didn't work so well. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about these because but I will start with the one that like started this whole thing. And that is Unconditionally by Erin Lyon. This is the sequel to I Love You, which I read earlier this month, and I've been like totally and utterly obsessed with. And the fact that it ended so abruptly in this one, I was very bitter. So this is the reason that I went on Book Outlet to try to find books, and then I found so many. So we can blame this book, and I have half a mind to like change my white cover, which is supposed to be A Dark Shade of Magic, to this one. Stay tuned. Let's be honest, that's probably what's going to end up happening. So basically this is set in a world where there are not marriages, they are contracts instead, and they only last 7 years, and it follows this girl, a mixed everything. So if you like your good stereotypical rom-com-ness, or chick lit, or whatever you want to call it, this is the series for you. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm just gonna dive in, and that's a thick one. Oh, I didn't realize this one was so big. So the next one I picked up was a hardcover of The Discovery of Witches, which is by Deborah Harkness. Now this is a trilogy. I don't remember what the other two is called, but it's a trilogy that, oh my god, is it signed? I think it's signed. Yeah, that's not like print. What is happening? Okay, that totally caught me off guard. So this is the first in a trilogy, and I know that there's a TV show that is based on this book with a lot of actors that I love, but this is like one that I've had my eye on for quite a while, but I've never been able to find it for like not ridiculously expensive, and I found it, and it's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be, and like the text is teeny tiny, but like I feel like this is a mystery that involves like witches and vampires. I just wanted to get the first one to see if I would like it, and then we can continue on the series if I do. It says equal parts history and magic, romance and suspense. I'm so excited. The next one that I got was The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye. This is the sequel to The Crown's Game, which I do have in hardback. I saw that they had a cheap hardback, and it's only a duology, so I thought I would, why not? I mean, it's cheap. And basically this is about like a tournament with magic. And then I picked up, what's this one? Oh, that's right. I picked up The Forgotten Book by Mitch. Ooh, I'm not going to ever be able to pronounce that name. So we're just going to show it to you because, yikes. This is like magic meets Jane Austen, I think. This feels like if you combined... Hello. Ooh, bacon! Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, now I can't touch my books. The next book that I got was My So-Called Bollywood Life by Nisa Sharon. This just sounds like a fun teenage rom-com set around Bollywood, and I'm down. The next one I picked up was actually a middle grade, and it was The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. This is the first in his middle grade series. So I just give it a shot and see if we liked it. I know there's like 3 out now or something, but they had the first one, and so I thought we'd give it a shot. I honestly have no idea what this is about, but I did want to read the books that Neil Patrick Harris had written because I knew he'd written a series. The next one I picked up is called Wicked Girls, and it is by Stephanie Hemphill, and this is the author who wrote Language of Fire, I think it was. It was the book written in verse about Joan of Arc that I read February maybe? But this is a book written in verse about the Salem witch trials. So the next one that I picked up is one that is just right along with like having a hoax in Victorian England. And that is Suitors and Sabotage. So it seems like it's going to be like a Victorian England murder mystery plot that has like romance on top of it. I'm so excited. I am so excited. The next one, I'm kind of bitter that this is the cover that it came with, because the cover that was online, and I realized that with Book Outlet, the cover you see online and the cover you get are 2 very different things, but I liked the other cover better. This one is called Man of My Dreams by Joanna Lindsay, with this lovely strapping young man on the front. But I really like Joanna Lindsay. I read a couple of her books, and like she's one of the first like real like romance books that I ever read, and I like loved it. And it was set in like a Victorian England time period. It's basically just a historical romance about this girl who has her heart set on marrying this guy that's like what everybody wants. He's like the perfect suitor, and no one else will like come close, especially not the handsome horse breeder. But little does she know that the horse breeder is actually this guy in disguise. It's just gonna be all kinds of fun, and I like Joanne Lindsay. So this is my little impromptu unboxing for right now. I'll do like a full haul and talk more about them later. Now I gotta find spaces for them on my shelves. So it's like 6:15ish, and we are about to have dinner soon, and I'm probably not going to do much reading tonight because we'll probably just like watch TV and stuff. So I thought I'd go ahead and wrap up this vlog here. But I have some updates for you. So I've been reading The School for Good and Evil, the third one. I'm on page 370. So according to Goodreads, I'm like almost 60% of the way through the book. I am invested now. I think I like the first two better so far. But I am really, really enjoying this one, and it's great. I love being back in this world. I really appreciate like listening to the audiobook and reading along because I think that helps a lot. It really makes me feel connected to these characters. And there's a lot of characters in this book that, like, in this school we get a lot of like the daughters and sons of like these people. Like, for example, the main prince in this series, Tedros, his father is King Arthur. So we have like that whole Camelot situation. But in this, we're seeing a lot of the actual like fairy tales. So like Cinderella shows up. We have Peter Pan, Tinkerbell shows up, and then Merlin shows up at one point. So I loved getting to see those characters, and we are kind of sort of getting a lot more of the backstory. I think we will. Like, we've only gotten some backstory of Agatha's mom, and we've got some backstory of Tedros' parents in the last book, and we're getting a little bit more in this book from Merlin's perspective. And I think we're going to learn more about Sophie's mom and maybe a little bit more about Agatha's mom, because there's some history there that's been like hinted at throughout the first couple of books, and I think we're going to actually learn. I am really enjoying it. It took me a while to get into it, but once I had passed like the, 5 or 6 chapter mark, I was invested. I love it. It's thick, so I keep putting it off, but I do really enjoy this one. So that one's been fun. And then last night, I made the decision to start reading Unconditionally by Aaron Lyon instead of reading A Darker Shade of Magic for Charms. This is the like prompt that I've changed like 3 different times. I started reading this one last night. I read like 3 chapters, and so I picked it up today, and I am on page 162. I'm like this close to being halfway done, and I'm in love with this world, just like I was with the first one. The one thing that I will say is I feel like, and I'm only halfway through, so I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like she had this long story and then just hacked it in half and sent the first half out and said, that's a good book, and then took the second half and like randomly put in paragraphs so you would remember who certain characters are, but like not in a subtle way that you kind of forget that she's reminding you who these people are. She's telling you who these people are, and it's kind of weird how she does it. But I feel like if she had taken the first chapter in this book and attached it as the last chapter in the first book, it would have wrapped up fine. I felt like that was a good ending, minus the way that she ended it, because it just was so abrupt. But within like 2 pages, I was already back in this world. I was already back with these people. So I've been reading this one all day. So I am loving this one. So that's really it for my updates. But I had a successful week. I did end up reading 2 books. I did finish The Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen by Siri James, which I ended up giving 5 stars. I still want to go back and read sections of this book, and I have to stop myself so that I can actually read things that I'm supposed to read. So, struggle. And then I also read Paper Hearts by Meg Wivet, which I believe I gave 4 stars to. So, had a pretty good reading month, and then I will be carrying both of these over. And then I did technically start Brightly Burning, but I only read the very first chapter, so I'm on a total of 10 pages in. So this one will come with me as well. But yeah, those are my currently readings, but I'm going to be focusing on these 2, I think, because this is just where my brain is at. This is what I want to read. So that's where we're at. But I hope you guys enjoyed the 3rd week of the vlogs. Next week will be the very last week of the Owls, and I am not stressed at all. Not even a little bit. Yeah, if you are participating in the Owls, I hope your reading is going well, but I hope you guys are having a great week. If you did like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome and growing family. I also have all my social media down there as well if you'd like to follow along on any of those. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!